Yo, hello YouTube. I am back. I am going to talk about the LEC, give a little bit of primer of that. And before I get into that, please subscribe. I really like the number going up, and that's all. So, getting into the offseason, I think the LEC offseason was very, very interesting. I think there was a lot of people and a lot of big names that moved around in the LEC. And while I also say that, there was interestingly more teams that stayed together than I was originally expecting. So getting in with Fnatic immediately, I don't like their changes. I'm a big Mickey X fan. I think he was one of their best players. So I think losing him is really unfortunate. I've never been high on Upset. I'm really not high on Razork. So I wasn't a big fan of those changes. And Puros, I have no real opinions on. At least the resume looks good, so I don't have too strong opinions on that. Vladdy comes over from Carmine Corp. I think he is a very, very good player, don't get me wrong, but I never felt it as much. I felt the team around Vladdy was very, very good. And I think Vladdy is just a good mid laner, not like the top tier. So yeah, I just think they downgraded a lot. Lopsa, I don't think it's bad, but like I don't think he's the game changer like Mickey could be. So I'm not feeling it. I think they're a mid-table team this year, and I know they're gonna make Worlds, but this would be the season that I would kind of be like, maybe they don't. For G2, they were one of the teams with no changes, and I don't hate it. I did hear that they were approached by Busio to try and play. And it was also Busio and Inspired, so I don't know if that was a package deal and they would only come over if both were on the team. But I think if Busio was wanting to play for this team, you take him. I think he's the best Western support right now, just straight up. And I also think Lebrov was the weakest point on this team. And maybe it's one of those things that they have trust and it's going to be very hard to build up that trust again. Maybe, I don't know. But it just feels like that is kind of where they could have improved. But that's just me. Sorry about that. But I still think they're going to make Worlds. I still think they're going to be a contender for making any international, making finals, doing all that stuff. So I'm not too worried about them. GX, I think, is an interesting team because I think GX, they have potential, but I think potential to make Worlds, and I don't think there's anything higher than that. I think June is a very good support. I think Noah struggles in big opportunities. I think Jackie's had a sophomore slump, but I really do believe in Jackie's. I think Imza is also a good player. Like, I don't have much of an opinion on Lot, I'll be honest. So I think that they can make Worlds. I think keeping them together, I don't know who they would have been able to get as an upgrade. That's the other big part of it that I'm not sure anyone really would have made it that much better. So I like their decisions, just kind of keep it where they are and keep going with it. Carmine Corp, I love their changes. I think being able to keep Kana is very, very important. I know there were some potential rumors that they weren't going to be able to do that. I think Yike proved himself that he wasn't just a product of G2, that he was a good player. Is my camera crooked? I think it is. Yeah, okay. Oh, that made it more crooked. Sorry about that. I was like looking at it and it's like, that seems off. So yeah, I think Kana's a really, really good player. I think that Yike keeps down in mid lane. I think Kaihu, can reach potentially the levels of Vladdy, but I don't think he really needs to. I think he just needs to be young and be there. And he needs to show up to the fights when needed, and I think with Kana kind of being able to coach a little bit and get him used to the LEC, I think it's just kind of the perfect fit. I think he was a DRX player. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. And when he was at DRX, he didn't look that bad. That was one of the like bad teams in the LCK, so kind of one of those where it's hard to judge. But if you don't look bad on those teams, I think that's just a win. Keeping Klist obviously is amazing. He's a very, very top talent. Great ADC. And then Targamas for Busio, I think, is the biggest upgrade in LoL esports history. Like, I'm for sure a Targamas hater. I will fully die on that hill because I think he's been bad in most places that he's been. So I also think Busio is just the best player in the West. As a North American fan, it hurts, and a FlyQuest fan, it really hurts to lose him. But I'm happy that like he's able to grow his brand in Europe and like become even better of a player and more respected. So hopefully making the LCS look better as well by comparison and respecting NA a little bit more. But then we have Reaper come in, and I think having Reaper come in worries me a little bit because I'm not a big fan of Reaper coaching. So I think that took it from like a clear number one to just like the number one. I think I'd put them over G2 right now. But I don't think it's like miles and mountains of a difference. And for the two ERL teams, I will not be talking about them. One, because Lesser Tonas is not going to be there. And then two, because the Karma Corp is just the second team. And then I didn't really pay too much. Or no, I paid a fair amount of attention, like Yukino is a GOAT. But it's just, I want to talk overall LEC, not just the starting tournament. So since they're not there the entire season, I don't want to spend time on it. So for Movistar Koi, they are the third and final team that kept everything from last season, and I think they did it very, very responsibly. Because you're a Worlds team, you've made it multiple times. I don't think there's an inherent upgrade available that's right away. But they did it in a way that the question marks on this team have really been Supa and Year1. They've been iffy. They performed overall fairly well, but they have their ups and downs. So getting them on one-year contracts and locking up the core of Eluoya, Jojo Pune, and Alvaro for a longer time, I think is really, really good. Again, NA person, so I'm so happy that Jojo's playing well. And then Eluoya has proven that he is like one of the best, if not the best jungler in Europe. Time and time again, so just being able to keep him almost guarantees you a Worlds, it feels like at this point. I think the competition is really, really close this year, so we'll see if they're able to keep it. But just great plays from them. And another team that I actually really, really liked their offseason was Na'Vi. Na'Vi, I think, took all the issues that I had with their starting roster, fixed them, and then also picked a rookie roster that actually has some vertical movement possible. Mainter has been one of the best top laners in the ERLs, so taking him from Karmine Corp Blue is just great. Relic, I was the first player, I believe, or second player, I believe they signed. After Thaiger, they were on the bench because I believe they weren't old enough to play officially, but they were on the bench, they were in the team, they were around everyone, so kind of just like preparing him for the LEC all last season and all this offseason, which I think just is great. Poby, taking him from Fnatic, I think he has a lot of upside. Like, I know people love to meme about Poby, but I don't think he is that bad of a player. To the memes, I think he's one of the better performing players in Fnatic at Worlds. So I'm excited to have him get a full year in the LEC and see what he can do. Same with Sam D, Han Sam D last season. Another one of those like good talents, but with that LEC format last year, we saw 3 games, that was it, so it was really hard to get a judge, and he also had Malarang as a support, so it's kind of one of those, it's very, very hard to get a finger on the pulse there. Paris, I think, is a interesting one for this team because he came out of the ERLs as a super hype support, as someone that everyone loved, and everyone's like, oh my god, he's the next big thing. G2 tried to get him, BDS was like, no, you can't, and it caused this whole thing, and he looked like, just like, oh, this is the next big player. And then on BDS, he really didn't do that much, he didn't look great, and so giving him a second opportunity, I think, is really good, and also, he does have that year under his belt with other rookies, so it's a layer of experience on top of still being a younger player in the league. So I appreciate what Navi's done, and I'm very excited to watch them play. And then the shifters, I also kind of like what they did, except for one specific area. Because Rooster and Boudica I'm okay with keeping. I think Rooster will be a good player. And I think was fairly good last year, if I remember correctly. I believe he was HLE Challengers. I don't know. A very good LCK talent. Nook, I'm a little worried about, I would say. I feel like I haven't been impressed with his play inherently, but they had a down year, so obviously I'm willing to give some leeway. And then they went and got Paddock, which I did not like. Paddock was struggling to be on KT the entire year. He's on KT Challengers, and I don't believe KT Challengers this season did particularly well. So I don't know how much of an upgrade it is over Ice, and then you had a lot of like good ADCs in the ERLs, like Exakick, I think was one of the names that was thrown around, or 3Exa. I think there was a few other names that were thrown around from the ERLs that was really, like, pretty good players and just weren't getting picked up. So I just didn't like that move overall because I don't think Paddock is that good, and I think you have native EU talent to be able to get. That's just me. I do really like getting Trimby back. Trimby, I think, is one of the best. It is a really, really good EU support. It was weird to see him in Brazil last season, but was able to get his team to second in that LTA. So overperforming their expectations over there and coming back and hopefully making BDS a competitive team again. Because I think the league is better when they're competitive. And also, I'm saying BDS, they're now shifters. I think is the worst rebrand in all of esports. I just want to get that out there. SK, we now have the Mickey and Friends experiment with SK, and I think it'll be very, very interesting because this team, I feel like, is either going to make Worlds or just be dead last. Like, I don't think there's a middle ground. I don't know how much Wonder's been playing. I don't think Leader's been playing that. Like, I think he was on that, like, Ruddy Sack team or something. I think it's, like, playing top lane. It was weird. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know much about Jopa. That is one I'm very mixed on, but like, you have Mickey X. I think he's a great player. I'll be interested to see this experiment, but it's gonna be hard to get a read on this team until they actually play. And then I will say these two teams I think are my bottom teams this year. Heretics, I think they're just lost. They're restarting with rookie solo laners, keeping Sheo, and I think Sheo is great, don't get me wrong. But and you needed to replace Camilo. Carlson I don't know much about. So I don't see the vision. I don't see the path forward for Heretics to becoming a really competitive team, in my mind. I think Ice is a side grade to Flakked, personally. I don't know how much that makes your team better, but that's just me. And then moving over to the middle for a second. For Team Vitality, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I think Linces is a very promising player. Don't get me wrong, same with Neko. But I think bringing Humanoid on, probably on a very low contract, but I don't believe in Humanoid at all. Oh, sorry, I did not mute my mic for that one. I don't believe in Humanoid at all. I think Carzy is there. I think Carzy is the new he was the ADC for XL. Patrick. I think he's the new Patrick, where he's just kind of staying around, and it's kind of like, oh, well, he has potential, and he was good, and we don't really see it anymore. I think Fleshy also just is a support that they benched for a mid laner, and now bringing back. So I don't see the vision at all, if I'm gonna be honest. So, with that being said, I'm gonna get into the tier list and do a quick ranking of all the teams. So again, I'm ranking only the LEC teams. So I think first it'll be easier to go the ends. So, or I'll just go bottom up. I think Team Heretics and Vitality are B tier. I do pit the Vitality a little bit higher. And then I would say SK is in C tier alone, only because I can't rate them. They could be A tier. I really don't know. And then B tier is, I think, where there's a lot of teams. I think most teams are going to be here, are living here. I think the top of B tier is Giant X. And then I think it's a mix between these three teams. I think I have to put Na'Vi lower because they're all rookies. And then probably Fnatic here. But I could easily see any of these teams being the fourth best team. And I could see all these teams somehow making Worlds. Na'Vi a little bit less. But I did want to give them a little bit more credit than the SK tier. So yeah, I think these teams have vertical movement, but I don't think that much higher. And I would be kind of surprised if any of these teams won a split. And then I think Movistar is the lone team in A. I think they've improved, but they just felt like a Worlds team. They never felt like a world beater. And then I would have to put Karmine Corp and then G2. I think Karmine Corp higher than G2. I think they played better, or they built their roster better. I like their core more. I think they've shored up their issues, and I think they were a good 1-2 battle last season until the explosion happened with them. So I think it's going to be very interesting to watch them play. That's my preseason ratings. I don't know how much I'll talk about the LEC specifically because it'd be hard for me to watch here, but it is starting on January 15th, I think, for most people. January 16th, or 18th for me, sorry. 17th for most people. It'll be LR versus Fnatic, Shifters, GX, Heretics, Na'Vi, I think will be an interesting game. Same with that Shifters GX game. And then Vitality SK will be fun. And I can't believe they let the KT teams play each other that first day. And then MK or Koi versus G2. So I think it'll be a really good weekend of League over there in the LEC. I will definitely watch some games, or at least watch the K-Draw replays. So we'll see. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day or night.